Another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to take a look at the Super 7 Ultimates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Leonardo action figure. You know, to be honest with you, and I'm just going to kind of wait a couple seconds just for some people to kind of file in. If you're watching this on playback, this was originally shot live, so this is a live review originally, and you're just watching it on playback. So if you're a little confused as to why I'm not interacting with some of your questions, I know there was kind of some cause for concern as far as how the videos were being shot. Some people were being a little on the confused side as to why I wasn't answering their questions or however that was going down. But regardless, if you are watching this on playback, you can leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys have about this stuff. But as I'm shooting this live, we're talking about Leonardo here, and this was actually an action figure line that I wasn't too sure I was going to be keen on, or really even that much excited about as far as the was concerned and the type of bodies that they were going to be using. I know Super 7 likes to use a lot of the Motu Classics bodies, and when they announced that it was going to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimates line, I was a little bit more intrigued than I guess some of the other ones, like the Conan ones or the some of the other one-offs that they did, like I'm still actually kind of interested in Toxie, to be honest with you, just not for the price of $70. But some of the other one-offs that they did, like Toxie, they're all kind of using that Motu Classics body, and I've kind of had enough of that Motu Classics body. It's kind of an outdated body, to be honest with you. Those are the old Motu Classics bodies that Mattel were making, and that mold is kind of, like I said, just outdated. They're still using single-jointed elbows and knees, and while this figure is using single-jointed elbows and knees, at least it's on a new mold, all on its own. Each turtle, and I know that Raphael was actually released first in Wave 1 for the Super 7 Ultimates line, but the molds on these the turtles, which I actually don't mind them reusing the molds for the turtles, because as long as there's paint differentiation between the four turtles, then I don't mind. But for specifics on the bodies, they're pretty much new molds as far as that goes. Now, there are some differentiations between the Super 7s, which are supposed to be kind of like their rendition of an updated Playmates line, which is why I was really intrigued to begin with, because this was really the major line that I got into and kind of went, balls deep when it comes to the in-depthness of characters and how many characters I had as a kid. It was like the one line, like I had a lot of G.I. Joes, but I didn't have every G.I. Joe. And there were so many G.I. Joes by the time that I was, as of a right age to start picking them up regularly. But Turtles were right around that perfect time frame where, if I was really good at school and I did something good or did good on a test, or was good at home, did all my chores, I would ask for a Ninja Turtle. And whether it was my babysitter at the time, my mom, my dad, my whoever, my aunts, uncles, grandparents, I would usually get a Ninja Turtle. And it was always someone I didn't have, because my mom was actually pretty keen on that, and so was actually my babysitter. Long story short, I don't mean to go off bambling about my own personal history, but they were pretty into when it came to what I had already had, so they wouldn't get me something that I already had. And there were so many different turtles that we got variations of the same character, like the one where the shell would open up in the back. I forgot what that's called, like the secret compartment shell turtle. Like those never appealed to me. Some of the different, I guess, gimmicks that they would have, like if there was a the detective Donatello, like that would kind of intrigue me because it is so much of a variation. But when there were silly gimmicks and they kind of looked like the original, which I'll bring in a minute for a comparison just between the two. But as far as those other gimmicks, I always kind of just wanted the originals to be re-released. And I was like, well, we don't really see the originals, at least in my area when I was growing up, all that much. But we saw so many different variations of Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo that it was like, almost like beating a dead horse, It's already dead. But anyway, I just a little backstory there. That's kind of why I was so intrigued with this line, more so as opposed to the NECA turtles. First of all, the NECA turtles are, I want to say, actually just as difficult to get as these figures. I've only found two sets now, and one was due to my girlfriend finding it. The other due to me just happened to walking into a store with her at a Target, and they just happened to be one literal one set sitting there. But in the 2-year span that they've been released, I have not found one NECA turtle set. So anyway, so I was just like, screw it. I might as well just pre-order one of these, and I'll start with Leonardo. I missed out on Wave 1. I just recently found Baxter Stockman for a decent price, so I'm pretty happy about that. He was a big deal to me as a kid. I love that Baxter Stockman figure. It's like one of my favorite figures. But Leo actually was my first Ninja Turtle that I ever owned as a kid. Donatello, while being always my favorite turtle, Leonardo was actually the first Playmate action figure I owned, period. So this was kind of fitting that he's my first Super 7 figure um, in this nice line. The mailer box is this one right here. This nice brown box right here. Sorry for such a long intro. I know it's like a 7 minutes of me just babbling, but nothing too crazy. On the back, it just says Super 7, give you some product placement as far as the companies that are associated with it, Super 7, Nickelodeon, and such. Nothing too crazy there. Who cares? It's just a mailer box. The actual packaging is actually pretty well done. I'm actually really liking this. Sorry, I got to just adjust my camera really quick. Sorry for the shaky cam. I apologize, but the actual packaging, I'll just move Leo for a second, is pretty well done. It's got this nice kind of old school all red bandana turtle logo for the head of Leo, and it's got his specific facial expression right here, and it's got kind of like the manhole cover right there. And then lifting it up, it says Leonardo on the bottom. It says Ultimates on the top right there, which is looking pretty good. Nothing on the sides, really. On the back, it says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a nice kind of glossy logo. So that's pretty cool. But lifting this off, actually sliding this off, you have the packaging itself. I'm going to try and keep the glare down to a minimum here. But it's really nice collector-friendly packaging. I'm not one for really, keeping too many packages, but this is one set that I'm probably going to keep as far as packaging does go. It does come with an alternate head, which is actually newly sculpted by the Four Horsemen. So if you wanted to have maybe like more of like an updated look for Leo, we can go with that. I'm going to take all this stuff out of the package also, and we're going to kind of play around with it, see how everything looks. It comes with a piece of pizza, which is pretty cool, which is actually funny because I just had pizza today. It comes with this turtle communicator, a closed turtle communicator. So he's got his open one, his closed one, and then he comes with the kind of, I guess you want to call them side weapons. I think this is like a fist dagger. I don't know the specific terms. We'd also have ninja stars right here, or shurikens, whatever you want to call them. I believe this is called is that a comma technically? I don't know. I think it is. Don't beat me up in the comments if I don't know. Sorry. But anyway, let's take a look at the rest of the packaging really quick. I usually don't run through packaging, but this is so nice that I thought I would. It says Ninja Turtles on the bottom, blah, 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 blah. On the top, it says Ninja Turtles again. On the sides, we got some nice, like, brick kind of cardboard for the packaging, and it looks to be like we've got some graffiti on there, blah, 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 blah. Nice little kind of alleyway looking graffiti. It gives you a nice little read up on Leonardo. So if you guys want to go ahead, if you're watching this on playback, you can pause this and read it if you want to. If not, you guys can go ahead and read this live. But there you go. And it says Cowabunga right here. It says a couple different things. It's got the Turtles logo right here, so you know this is a good guy right there. The bad guy packaging, the villain packaging is, I think, a little bit more of a deeper purple, where the good guy packaging has more of a green purple. I do have to say this while I'm actually opening this. Some of the characters that are actually coming out within the fourth wave, I believe that's with Donatello, Muckman, Casey Jones. I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, and Mondo Gecko. Actually, some of my favorite characters all coming out in that one wave. So I was like, well, this is going to be my present to myself. And let me just bring Leo back out here so you're not staring at nothing. And actually, while I am doing that, I'll readjust my lighting really quick. And I will also give you guys a quick little comparison with the vintage figure, which I still own. It's one of the few vintage figures I still own from when I was a kid. And there he is. There's kind of your comparison with what they did here. I think they did a really good job with having, kind of giving you an updated look for Leonardo, and staying kind of true to what they were doing. There's obviously some little differences, like you can see in the belt there. It's a little bit more of an update as far as the belt goes, the little gray pieces or silver pieces, whatever you want to call that, on the belt. But for the most part, as far as the head sculpt goes, I mean, look how close that head sculpt is. It looks really good. I really don't have too many issues as far as like even the paint tones, the molded plastic tones are pretty close. I want to say the belly shell is a little bit on the lighter side for the vintage figure than the new Super 7 figure. There's a couple little differences, but overall, I want to say this is a pretty good rendition for an updated, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Leonardo figure, based off the Playmates look. So it's like, if Playmates existed now and Ninja Turtles were just coming out now, I feel like this is what we would be getting. And just because the product of the time, this is what we got now. Obviously, we've seen what Playmates can do now, which isn't all that great, especially with the Turtles. That's why, other companies have been doing such a better job, like NECA and Super 7 with these figures. Obviously, the price is going to be kind of the big elephant in the room when it comes to these figures. They're a lot more expensive. They're more difficult to get. And Super 7 isn't necessarily the easiest company to make these figures available. There's been a long wait for Wave 1. I think it was like something like just over a year for Wave 1. I actually ended up canceling my pre-order because it took so long for Raphael. Now I'm kicking myself in the ass for canceling the pre-order, but because Raphael goes for like $140 or something insane like that now on secondary markets, so it's like he's not even obtainable anymore. Hopefully, as I try to get Leo's other head out of here, sorry if this is loud, hopefully down the road they'll re-release Raphael again, hopefully. Who knows, though, because Super 7 is, I guess, a smaller company. There we go. Sorry for the loud plasticky noises. But here's to hoping. I think this is really cool that they actually include this old weapons tree right here. I think that's a nice little touch. It's pretty much everything that you get with the accessories I'm about to show you that are painted. It's just these are unpainted to kind of give you that old school. I almost said old stool, old school Playmates feel right here. So I think that's a pretty nice little touch. And I'll go ahead and try to stand this up here. You can remove all the weapons off of there and have him using the vintage weapons if you want. Really want to go old school. Like the Undertaker goes old school on the top rope. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Getting some of the stuff out of the packaging is like hit or miss. I noticed like getting the figure out was kind of annoying to get him out of the package, but not nearly as annoying as getting a NECA figure out of its packaging. Or a Diamond Select figure out of their packaging. I want to say Diamond Select is probably the biggest culprit for, pain in the ass packaging. The amount of zip ties that company puts on an action figure is astounding. But he does come with a plethora of accessories here, which we're going to get to. Okay, I'll put that down since we got every single accessory out. So there's a nice little comparison, like I said, with the two. I'll get a little bit more in depth with the comparison in a second. I just kind of wanted to not have stagnant nothing on the screen while I'm just sitting here babbling, taking stuff out. So here's the extra head. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8 hands total with the figure. So that's really good that we have that amount of hands. We've got the backup weapons. I always called them backup weapons. Right there, there's I guess I'll just call it a comma for now. I know it's probably not a comma, but that's what I'm going to call it. We have a piece of pizza right here. Really good paint shading going throughout for the piece of pizza. Looks good. There's the back portion. Let me see if I can get that blocked out so it'll focus on the back. So really good job with the paint shading going throughout the little slice of pizza there. Then we have this other dagger type weapon, which actually Raphael had a storage piece on the back of him for this specific weapon. Leo, not so much. He does not have one, but the vintage figure didn't have one either. So, and just to kind of prove my point, there's a vintage figure. He did not have a way to put this on the back. But looks good nonetheless, all painted up. So here's another little backup dagger piece. Here's, I'm just going to show one of the shurikens just because they're pretty much the same kind of throwing star, shuriken, whatever you want to call it. And then we have the turtle communicator, which is closed. This is the closed turtle communicator, so it looks really good. Nice paint applications there with that. And it's got kind of like a ribbed area on the back. Looks cool. So that looks nice closed. Sorry if you hear dogs barking. It's beyond my control. I have 4 dogs and a puppy, so they're going to make noise. But here's the open turtle communicator. Looks really nice. Nice paint detail going throughout the entire communicator. There's even a little red painted button right there. Nicely done overall. Here's the back of the communicator. So nice, crisp and clean paint work. Like I said, it comes with 8 hands, which is really, really nice, I gotta say. It comes with a closed fist. There you go with the closed fist. It comes with 2 closed fists. I'm just showing you that one. Here's the other one. You can see there's differentiation with the veins going throughout the hand, which looks cool. And we're going to go ahead and pop those on and make sure that all these fit right and nothing breaks or anything like that during the review, so not to worry. There's the kind of open gesturing hand. So if you want to have him in like a fighting stance, you could do that. That's my puppy checking up on me. Daddy, making sure you're all right. That's okay. I give him a southern accent because I live in the South now. I live in South Carolina, so gotta give them one of them South Carolina accents, you know. But he's actually a Great Pyrenees, so he's actually French. So he'd be like, "Hey, Daddy, how you doing?" Anyway, but here's the other. Here's a kind of like another open gripping hand, which he already comes in package, I believe, with gripping hands, open gripping hands. But here's two more. So you have a total of four open gripping hands. I want to say that they do differ. I want to say that these might be a little bit more of a tighter grip on those swords. These are a little bit looser, so you can kind of wiggle them in his hands a little bit. They will move around. Here is the other head. Let me just get that in an area where I can focus. And this is the new sculpt that the Four Horsemen. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Four Horsemen did this entire sculpt here, but they did the this nice head sculpt as well, and it's kind of that more of a modern update, more of an angry, serious face, and I guess the bandana piece just kind of hangs flowingly going around the back. We're going to pop the head on and make sure it looks good on the body too, so don't worry, but I'm just kind of giving a close-up look. I think it's a nice little update for this head. I don't mind either head. I'm probably going to go with the vintage head just because, you know, it's pretty iconic that the vintage looks for the head, all these different heads for the turtles and everything. And I'll just do one more close-up. Let me just get these blades out of the way. I'll do one more close-up with the vintage figure just so you can kind of see how close it is. Obviously, the eyes are a little bit different. You can see the eyes are a little bit droopy on this side, kind of making him look like he's a little sad. But on this one, they kind of raised the bottom of the eye up, so he's a little bit more excited about what's going on. You know, but the bandanas, I mean, they look pretty cool. It's just a really nice update for that vintage figure. And I still love this vintage figure. As you can see, he's got some battle damage on him from, excuse me, a long time ago. On top of the heads look pretty good. The skin tones look so close. I mean, they might be a little bit off, and I have bad eyes, but obviously the musculature is going to be a little bit different mold, obviously, different sizes completely. This is more of a 7-inch style figure, and these turtles run a little bit smaller, so they're not specifically 7 inches, but they're supposed to be in that 7-inch scale with some of the other figures in this line, so. But it looks good. Like I said, obviously you're going to have the differentiation with the belt buckle and the silver tones. They kind of did that for a little bit of an update for the figure. But still, I mean, it looks damn good. We still have battle damage on the back of the turtle shells. Just comparing that. They're just in different spots. So there's that. The swords also sit in the sheaths. A lot different than the vintage figure. They sat up a little bit more centered and a little bit higher on the vintage figure. And on this new Super 7 figure, it kind of sits a little bit lower, do the swords. Just to kind of show you what the heck I'm talking about here. Let's get those out. And we'll just sheath one of them. And we'll sheath the other one. And as you can see, they do sheath a little bit lower than I would like. It's not the end of the world. It's just kind of like one of those nitpicky things. Like I said, you know, not the end of the world at all. But you can remove this whole piece. This is all removable, like rubbery style plastic for the Leonardo. I guess you can call this a holster, belt holster combo. But yeah, they definitely do sit lower for the swords. The swords, as far as the detail on the swords go, the swords look really good. Nice kind of natural look for the sword, or the katana, excuse me. So it looks really nice. I really like this mold. And like I said, it's the same mold as the katanas over here. They're just kind of a little bit of a different. I want to say that they almost feel like they're that kind of like old school flimsy style plastic, like not as flimsy as these. Obviously, they're a different color entirely, but they give you that feel from the original weapons tree. So looks really good. Here he is standing with the sword, or the katanas in his back. So that looks good. Some people were complaining. Terry, what's going on, buddy? Some people were complaining that the figure had some loose joints straight out of the packaging. That has been an ongoing thing with Super 7 with a lot of their brand new figures. And you guys all know, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you understand that my motto is I'd rather have tight joints than loose joints any day out of the week. When it comes to an action figure, I can always loosen the joints as opposed to having a loose joint and then having to tighten it up. It's just kind of an annoyance having loose joints on a brand new figure. It kind of drops it down a tier when you have loose joints. I personally don't have any loose joints on him. I could start to see some of the hips getting a little bit loose down the line maybe, but I don't really have any loose joints. He's pretty fluid when it comes to his range of motion and stuff, and holding, like I can get his leg to stay where I want it to. It's not flopping around. I'm moving him around right now. He's not flopping. He's not flying all over the place. The head doesn't move. So it might just be some of those people's versions that they got. I don't have any issues. I know Raphael had a little bit more issues with being loose. I know Toxie from the Toxic Crusaders Ultimates figure had that issue, but that's also using a entirely different body, which was used by the Motu Classics body base. So a little bit different. Tim Casa, what's going on, buddy? Do I prefer the Super 7 or NECA? Well, this is actually my first Super 7 figure. I was originally going to get to the Super 7 Ultimates Conan from the comic version, and I've been kind of passing on that, still been passing on it. I'm a big Conan fan, so, but this is actually my first Super 7. I want to say that right off the bat, I don't have too many NECA figures as far as the Turtles go. The only one I have, and I can do a quick comparison with that, and then we'll get to the rest of the accessories and swapping heads and such, is the Turtles in Time Donatello. And as you can see, there's a big difference in scale here. These will not match up together, as you can see. This the Turtles in Time one, so he's got a little bit a little bit different of a paint deco to him. Super 7 is kind of its own scale, that 7-inch style scale. This is a little bit more closer to your 6-inch scale. And just to kind of put things in perspective for you, here's a Marvel Legend. We'll just bring in Shang-Chi. And just to show you, while Shang-Chi is around that 6-inch, 6.5, quarter-inch, whatever you want to call it, Marvel Legend scale, he's supposed to be taller than Leo. If you're counting him as being 7 inches, and I think, actually, we'll bring in Chewbacca really quick. Chewbacca is more around that 6-inch scale, but he's supposed to be like 8 feet tall. So this actually works perfectly. He's the right scale for 7 inches, because the Turtles are supposed to be a little bit shorter, on the shorter side, as far as the characters go. Now, some of the other figures in the Super 7 line for the Turtles are, like they said, the other characters are going to be larger, like Shredder, which I'm still scratching my head on if I want to get. But here's your scale with NECA versus Super 7. Obviously, these are probably going to be the better way to go as far as, budget. If you're on a budget, even, I'm on a budget. too. These are going to be the better route to go. Not specifically the Turtles in Time one, because this is really like a niche of the niche for collecting turtles. This is even more of a niche because it's really gonna want that Playmates look, and then on top of that, you're really gonna want to not have to spend $44 to $60. Sometimes the more rare that these become, the more jacked up in price they get on the secondary markets. So if you don't pre-order these guys, they're kind of and they do end up in stock. They're usually not in stock for that long. Like I think Leonardo's already sold out in Big Bad Toy Store after 2 days of being up in stock. So it gets a little ridiculous with the availability, and it gets a little ridiculous with these figures, and it gets a little ridiculous with the price. Do they come with a lot of stuff? Absolutely. Are some of their joints loose? Absolutely. I've seen it in other reviews where joints are loose. NECA stuff, though, has its own issues. I mean, NECA, let me just bring Donnie back in here. NECA, when I got this figure out of packaging, this figure would not move. It was so frozen, I was afraid to even move it. And I'm not blowing this out of proportion. You guys know I'm a straight shooter. I don't bullshit. When something's too tight, I have to put it in hot water. Like, I really had to put him in water to start moving any joints. Like, his shoulders were so frozen, I felt like if I moved the arm, it was going to snap right off. And it's happened to me with NECA figures in the past because they use cheaper plastics. These are a little bit more durable plastics, I want to say. They're definitely the better of the two as far as plastics go. I can feel that this is a $20 to $25 figure. I can feel that this is a little bit more of a premium figure. So it is a give and take, and it's all about how much you're willing to spend. It really is. This is kind of a guilty pleasure for me, I guess. I normally don't buy premium figures anymore. I try to stick within my budget, but pretty much the only premium figures I do buy are Joy Toys. So this is kind of a different thing for me, but I'm also was really in love with the Playmates figures. And as I'm switching out the hands here, I'm going to give you a little backstory so I keep it fresh and not just sitting here staring at nothing and listening to nothing. When I was a kid, and I've told this story numerous times, we'll go with the other gripping hands just to see if there's any really big difference here. And I just want to see right off the bat if there is. I don't really see that much of a difference here. There might be a little bit of a difference right here in the hand. But I don't see it. It's nice that they give extra gripping hands, and I'm pretty sure that these might be the same mold. But, they could have given us some other different hands, I guess, if that were the case. But anyway, when I was a kid, we had a big flood. Long story short, I've told this story multiple times. Hopefully this is the last time I tell this story. A flood happened. All my Ninja Turtles, most of my G.I. Joes, a ton of my just toys in general. All my Playmates figures from what my old Transformers. I'm not counting them Playmates because they're not made by Playmates, but all the old Dick Tracy figures I had, all the Toxic Crusaders figures I had, all the old Star Trek Playmates figures I had, all that stuff, the Technodrome, everything ruined. And, it was beyond my decision to make that they were considered totaled, and the insurance adjuster just kind of threw all the stuff out and wrote my mom a check for the damages. And back then toys weren't not the same market that they are now, so I didn't. My mom got the money for it, and I was left with I don't know, not very much left. I think, like I said, Leo was one of the few ones that made it out. So did Donnie. Where's Donnie? Donnie, too, and Raph. And I've got what was it? He doesn't even have any accessories anymore. One of the few. And what was it? Genghis Frog. I recently got Ace Duck, but all those were just from my childhood. But anyway, few and far between. So this was a kind of a chance for me to really kind of get some of these figures in more of an adult style. And now even trying to track down vintage turtles is difficult because now they're going up in price. So it's like I have to spend money anyway. I'd rather pay, I guess, $40 or $45 for one of these as opposed to $45 for a vintage figure that comes complete. You know, at least I have better articulation here and range of motion, and I don't know, different scale. But there's the fist hands. Let's pop this head off really quick. It's probably pretty easy to pop that head off. So I guess you could say I'm a little bit more enthusiastic about this line. I still would like to track down a lot of the old vintage figures because I doubt Super 7 is going to do every character. You know, there's certain characters like Worm, excuse me, that I'd like to get that are in the vintage line, and I'd like to get a bunch of those characters that I don't have anymore. Even some of the variations of the turtles I'd like to get. But anyway, here's the other head. I actually really like this head. It looks really good on the body. It's actually, I'm liking it quite a bit now that it's even more, that it's on this body. It's a really, like I said, a really nice update that the Four Horsemen did with this head sculpt. And they are just a talented group of people. There's so many sculpts that they've done with modern figures that they just knock it out of the park, and I think this is just another one of those sculpts right there. Take it in, man, as Chris Jericho would say. Looks good. Looks really good. This kind of, you know what this really does? We have this head sculpt right here, and kind of more of these modern head sculpts that we get with these Super 7 figures. There was I want to say for the old, who made those? I almost want to say Konami made those, but it was like an old promo image. I'll have to throw it up on the Strident page and my Facebook page. So if you guys want to check that out, and you'll see my reference after this, but it was an old, artist rendering with all the turtles, and I think they were on the turtle blimp or something, and they're all kind of giving these more realistic, I wouldn't say realistic, but more adult artwork. They all had red bandanas, but they had this kind of like more updated, less kiddish looking artist rendering for them. And I think it's all four of them are on the blimp, or on the glider for the blimp, excuse me. And there's like lights in the background, and all four of them got their weapons out, and they got these more, I guess, angry looking faces. I wish I could just pop the, because this is a live review, I can't pop any artist renderings or any kind of visuals up in the review, but I think they were on, like I said, on the old, they were like kind of those knockoff Game Boy ones. It's more like the Mirage comic look. Okay. I think that's what it was looking like. It looked, the artist rendering, I don't know who the artist was that did it, but it looked like something like maybe Jim Lee would do. It probably wasn't Jim Lee, and if it was, I wouldn't be surprised, but maybe somebody can help me out. Maybe you guys know if you guys know what I'm talking about. But they were all wearing red, like their original look, and they were all kind of more of like that realistic, more of a Marvel comic 90s run look. But it was on a handheld game, the actual photo, and that's what this reminds me of. So that's why I'm bringing up this whole story of this stuff. I just can't help myself. I just keep going off on tangents because there's so much, I guess. I'm not really getting caught up in the nostalgia, but there's so much to talk about with the Playmates action figures. I think I found it. It's the same as the NES game. Yes, it's the same. Yes, exactly, Rich. I think you nailed it. I think it's the same as the NES artwork on the original Ninja Turtles game. They're wearing all red, and they're all kind of like on the blimp glider. But it's such good artwork. It's like some of my favorite artwork. And I think when I saw that artwork, I was like, man, I hope one day we get action figures like this. And that's what this head sculpt makes it reminds me of. So it looks really good. That was also the cover art for the old Mirage comic, issue number 13, I think. Yep. That sounds more accurate. That sounds about right. So thank you, Rich, and thank you, Gaz, for pointing that out. So they thank both Rich Laporte and Gaz for that. But here's the kind of open gesturing hands. I guess you can call these kind of like fighting stance hands, or reaching out hands, whatever you want to do. Zombie hands. Yeah, brains. Action figure expert, how's it going? I'm going to go back with the gripping hands. I don't think it matters which ones I grab. I think they're essentially the same mold. So, yeah, you have that cover. Yeah, I have that cover on volume 2 of the comic collection. Cool, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to have to pick that up, because I love that artwork. It looks so good. It looks just so damn good. But I don't know, he just wants to stand so easily. Like, I don't really have any issues with anything. I want to say maybe the wrist pegs, they were a little bit stiffer than I liked when I first was kind of messing around with the figure. But now that I've been playing around with it, I mean, he just wants to just do what I want him to. So it's really nice. This is a very nicely done, solid action figure. He just looks like he looks the part. He really looks the part. And now I'm really wondering if I want if I wanted. Originally I was like, oh, I'm going to keep the vintage head on there, and then I'm going to put him standing right next to the vintage figure, just to kind of give that, the old and the new, But now seeing this head and thinking of that artwork, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough one. Let's see if he can hold all this stuff in his hands here while I'm pondering to myself. So he can hold his communicator. He can hold it backwards, because that's what I'm having him do right now. Let's get these out of here. We already know he can hold his swords, because you saw that in the beginning. But yeah, he can hold that. He can talk into it, which is fine. No issues there. It is the best of both worlds. It is. And it's nice to have those options, like I said. It really is. See if we can hold this pizza. He can hold that pizza. Look at that pizza. Let me get that dog hair out of the way. He can eat his pizza. Num, num, num. Who doesn't? I've never heard of anybody saying they hate pizza. I just don't. I don't know if I could trust someone that hates pizza. He can hold his shuriken in between his fingers and also in his hand. So he can hold that. Let's see if we can get this in there. I really don't have any issues getting stuff in his hands. He can hold his fist dagger right there. That's nice. Now, this was always the awkward one, even when I was a kid, to have him hold, or have any of the turtles hold. It's kind of like one of those blah accessories. I think this was the most blah accessory that the turtles would always get. And I was always like, just kind of, let's just toss this one to the side. And then there we have I guess this is considered a comma. He kind of holds it a little bit looser, but you kind of have to just kind of wedge it forward a little bit towards the bottom. You always pretended it was pizza? That's awesome. As you can see, there's a little bit of warpage from the packaging, but nothing a little heat can't take care of. So, no issues there. I really like the paint shading going throughout the all of the handles for everything. Looks really good. Man, I can't wait for Donatello to come out this year. End of this year, I think fourth quarter he's coming out. I'm so excited. And then here he is holding the closed communicator. So it looks really good, man. I'm really actually more impressed than I thought I was going to be. There's actually some paint shading, some black paint shading going throughout the legs here. On the thigh going down throughout. And just to kind of, let's keep the comparisons going. I don't know if this was intentional with these, but most of these, no, I always used to think that there was paint shading on them. Some of them, I feel like the later figures had more paint shading on them. But yeah, there is definitely black paint shading going throughout the legs here. 45 if you get it on the pre-order. Yeah. That's what I paid for this guy. So, like I said, it's definitely more expensive. Don't get me wrong. That's, to me, consider expensive. But these are a lot... this is a much shorter run than they're doing with these figures. These are not... They're more of a specialty item. Super 7 figures. So, they make a limited run, and that's about it. They usually fill pre-orders, and then it's whatever Big Bad Toy Store pre-orders that's on their site that they, bought for their own quantity. And I think they usually upcharge about $5 or $10 for theirs on Big Bad Toy Store, depending on the character. I think some are up there for 70, some are up there for 60. Sometimes if they purchase for their own supply, they'll usually upcharge $10 to make some sort of profit, but that's on them. But if you pre-ordered ahead of time, like I did, these were $44.99, I think. So that's what I paid for him. So I actually like how deep these shell slashes are in there. They're actually quite deep in there. So it looks pretty good. A little bit of a slash right there. Looks nice. Looks really nice. I think I'm starting to slowly fall in love with this head. It's kind of like an evolution. Even has some slashes on the front of his shell here. Right there. And there. Looks good. I actually don't even mind this. I thought it was going to, this was going to be an eyesore for me. That compared to, the original, which was just all black. But, like I said, it's a nice little update. It doesn't bother me one bit. It really doesn't. All of the blue on him, it's pretty close. This is also a 30-plus-year-old figure, so the paint's not going to be as vibrant as it once was one day. But, the blues are pretty good. Like I said, the overall, if you just glance at both of these, you'd be like, wow, they really nailed it. There's some differences in paint here and there, but overall, it looks really good. And I don't have an issue posing him as far as his articulation does go. He can look up about that far, so he can look up to villains that are taller than him. Krang in his bodysuit, you can have him looking up at Krang pretty well. It's just on a ball peg joint, so this is him looking down, which isn't the best, but that's about neutral right there. He can tilt his head side to side. I'm going to try range of motion with the other head as well, just to see if there's anything different. You can swivel full 360 rotation in the head. Murph. There we go. I want to say it's a little bit tighter of a fit with this head than this head. So here's the vintage head. That's him looking up. He does have a little bit better range of motion looking down, just a little bit. Don't worry, we're going to get the jive turkeys in a minute. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Heads tilt side to side. Can swivel full 360 rotation if you needed to. And we got some jive turkeys over here. Okay. Arms go up about that far. I guess you can call him a jive turkey then. Or jive turtle. Jive Turtle. I don't know what sound a turtle makes, but let's just call him a swimming turtle. But there's the there's the arms go up about that far. They go down, full 360 rotation. Yeah, I'm that guy that laughs at his own jokes. I can't help it. Arms swivel, they bend at the elbow, and that's kind of pathetic right there. I'll be honest with you. I kind of wish that this would bend a little bit more, but it doesn't. It's a single jointed elbow. That's the full range of motion right there. So just swivel at the bicep and a bend there, and he does swivel at the elbow as well. So there's both there for you if you really need that. Swivel at the wrist. He does have a hinge joint that goes up and down. No back and forth. So there's that to point out. He doesn't really have a waist swivel. He kind of really doesn't because of the shell, but there is a separate waist joint in there that you can move around if you see what I'm talking about here. If you can see that moving back and forth, yes, you can. There is a waist joint in there, so that's actually pretty impressive as far as engineering goes, with the waist swivel still being in there. Legs can go forward, they can go back. He can do the splits really well, which is what you need. He's a ninja. He's got an upper thigh swivel. He's got a single jointed knee, which is less than 90 degrees, so kind of a little pathetic there in the knee. But he can also swivel the knee. He can point the toe, pointy heely, and we got an ankle pivot just like a Marvel Legend. So you really should have no issue posing him, standing him up. Let's just get him into neutral pose here. Really love the vintage head. It looks so good. They both, like I said, both heads look just absolutely fantastic. And let's get his swords back in his hands. His katana, I keep calling him swords. I'm sorry. Come on, get up on in there. All right. So we got Leo with him all situated here, so he's not looking all funky and such. He looks good. I'm really digging this. I am actually liking this a lot more than I thought I was going to. You know, I was like, I'll take a chance on this guy, see how they are, and I'm having a lot of fun posing this guy and just playing around with him, just even getting him in a neutral stance. And I really want to put this other head on now. Don't get me wrong, I love both heads, but man, I'm really liking this new head too. Four Horsemen did a bang up job on this head. I'm loving it. Now I'm really stuck with what head am I going to go with in my display. It's a tough call. So I don't know. I don't want to go on too long. I'm almost hitting an hour here, just kind of playing around with this figure, having a good time, especially with all of you. Rich says the 2012 Turtles were great. Yeah, the 2012 Turtles were a lot of fun. Rich said you wish the I wish the head had the vintage mouth expression. Oh, this head or this head, because it's the vintage one. Because that is the pretty much the vintage expression. It's just got a little bit different, but that's what they're going for here. Like I said, the eyes are a little bit more pointed down, but yeah, it's pretty close. But it looks really good. I'm trying to think of what other size comparisons I can go with here. Here's a Mythic Legion, just to kind of give you guys a scale reference here. And the Mythic Legion is going to be taller, obviously, as he should be. He's going to be taller. A taller. And here is I guess we'll just bring in Boar really quick. We'll put him in the back just because he's tall as shit. He's like a Build-A-Figure, essentially. And just to kind of give you a frame of reference, there's kind of essentially a Build-A-Figure Marvel Legend, which he's not technically a Build-A-Figure, but he's Build-A-Figure-esque. He's actually taller than some other Build-A-Figures that we've gotten. So there's that as far as a frame of reference. Another really cool figure I'll bring in as far as comparison. Let me just hike that up a little bit and back the camera off so we're not get stuff out of the frame, please. Let's bring in, oh man, I can't wait to do this review. The Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman, one of my favorite Batman characters, period. We'll get the Mythic Legion out of the way. The most effective Batman, I want to say. We'll get Boar out of here. Boar, another one of my favorite figures. And we'll bring in his other NECA counterpart. For a frame of reference here. There we go. Lots of tortoise. Unfortunately, my movie figures are packed away still somewhere in this house. They are in this house, though. We'll get Tom out of the way here. Thomas, go take a nap. Go find your tank engine and take a nap. And then we'll bring in Vintage Leo just for, why not? Get them all standing up next to each other here. And you can see a slow evolution here of Leonardo figures. I wish I had unpacked my NECA movie turtles now. Which makes me wonder where the hell they are. But you just got your Super 7 in yesterday from your pile of loot? Cool, man. Yeah. That's awesome. I recently had canceled a bunch of other stuff that was in my pile of loot that, I have this happen quite often with pile of loot items. I'll have stuff sitting in there for like 90 days or 112 days or whatever. And I'll end up changing my mind. I'll be like, well, I have all this store credit now because they don't give you refunds. I have all this store credit, and I guess I'm forced to buy something else, and I end up changing my mind and then purchasing something else. So I actually had the funds available in my pile of loot after canceling, Scorponok. I ended up canceling him and I said, you know what? There's some other stuff I want to get now, and I don't really have the liquid funds right now. So I canceled him, and then there was a pre-order for Scorponok later on in the year. And I was like, you know what? I'll just get Scorponok later. I don't need him now anyway. So I picked up a couple other Super 7 figures just to see how the other ones are, like some of the monsters and stuff, or the villains, I should say. But those are on the way. So we'll when I get those in, I don't want to say who they are, but when I get those in, we'll do those reviews. Overall, final verdict on Leonardo. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna give him the 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. I would like I said, for the price, this is gonna be this is gonna be a niche purchase. You're not gonna want to, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on a Ninja Turtle figure, then just stick with your NECA figures. I'm just being honest with you here. You don't need to get this. This is really like, if you loved the Playmates figures so much, um, and the Playmates figures differed from the cartoons in a lot of ways. The cartoons had pupils, these figures didn't. That's kind of why I liked the Playmates figures a little bit better. There was a little bit more mystery behind the characters with no pupils and just having those kind of atypical superhero white eyes, whited out eyes. I actually liked that look better for the turtles as opposed to having pupils and looking a little bit more kid friendly and cartoony. I still love the cartoons. Don't get me wrong; they're just kind of their own aesthetic. They're in their own category. While they're similar, they're still different. So, and I can't find any NECA turtles anywhere. So it's like either I pay a little bit more of a premium for these turtles, or I don't find any turtles. So it's like, or I just get the Turtles in Time ones, and they have a bit different paint deco, like Donnie over here. It's like I'm stuck in a rut and I can't find the turtles I want. It sucks. Or I'm just stuck, paying a premium for a complete vintage figure, and I'd love to, find them, but it's a frustrating time to be a collector. It's either you pay a premium and you pre-order and you wait, months and months or a year for a higher premium quality figure, or you roll the dice and hope Target's gonna have stuff in stock when it comes to Ninja Turtles. And I have one Target in my area, and then outside of that, I have to drive a half an hour for another Target, and then another 10 minutes after that. So 40 minutes for 3 Targets. And where I lived in Buffalo, there was like 7 or 8 Targets within a 15-minute drive. So there's a big difference there, a huge difference. And I don't have the time to do all that driving and wasting all that gas and just to come up short, because usually, stores nowadays, they don't have shit in stock. So I guess that's where I'm at with these. These are kind of, like I said, I guess a little bit more of a, I wouldn't really call them a guilty pleasure. Just because I'm spending money wouldn't make them a guilty pleasure, but I guess it makes it more of a convenient pleasure. I'm pre-ordering them. I'm making sure I have them, and that's it. There's no pre-ordering the NECA Turtles. You're shit out of luck there. I've even tried to pre-order a set, and they were all sold out on Target's website. Target has one of the worst websites I've ever seen. But that's kind of where the collecting community is nowadays. It's just pre-order everything, and if you don't pre-order it, which I hate, I'd love to be able to go to a store and find something, or wait for toy conventions or toy shows. Wait for your local toy shows, and usually there's tons of Ninja Turtle stuff at toy shows and stuff like that, but those are few and far between right now, especially with COVID. So it's tough. It's a tough time to be a collector. It sucks. While there's a ton of stuff available, it's hard to get still, regardless. Everything is, exclusive. That's the way things are, apparently, which doesn't make any sense. Anyway, but I still like this figure. I love the options that you get. You get 8 hands, an extra head, a piece of pizza, which is fantastic. 2 different versions of the turtle communicator, closed and open. You've got the regular original tree accessories right here from the that original nostalgic look for the turtles. And yeah, man, I'm hoping I can get all 4 turtles. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm going to buy every single figure, but if I see characters that I liked, like Mondo Gecko or Muckman or Donatello and the turtles in general, I'm going to try and get them. I'm not going to overpay for them, but and that's my recommendation to you. I wouldn't overpay for these figures. They're not worth $70 to $100. I would not pay that. These are, to me, I think they're around the $35 price point. They come with a ton of stuff, and the paint is pretty good on them. Some of the loose joints are an issue, I guess, for some people. I didn't have an issue here with mine. But maybe I'm just the fortunate one, or maybe those are just the misfortunate ones. I don't know. Um, but those are stuff to look out for. So, but yeah, I overall I like this figure. I enjoy it. I'm gonna try and get more. Eddie Vasquez says, "I'm only getting the Turtles and Bebop and Rocksteady." Yeah, go for it, man. Um, go for it. Like I said, just these are. This is kind of like that line where you pick your poison. You pick maybe you'll get all four turtles, and you get you know a villain or two that you like. Like Muckman was one of my favorite action figures as a kid. He was so unique and grotesque looking, and it was kind of that 80s, 90s toy theme, And then we had Toxic Crusaders, were kind of like you could mix your Toxic Crusaders with your turtles and it would work out. You can mix those together. And then you had your Skeleton Warriors, you had, a bunch of different stuff from Playmates that you can kind of mix and match. And it was like its own universe, the Playmates universe. That's what I used to call it when I was a kid. So, this is from Playmates too. So I'll put those together and play with those. And hey, Andy, what's going on, buddy? But yeah, overall, I like this figure. I think the packaging looks really good too. If you're into packaging, normally I don't care about packaging at all, but it does look good. I definitely might actually keep this. So, especially because I'll have good packaging to store the stuff that I'm not going to use, so I'll know where it all is, and I don't have to use baggies and such. So there's that to look forward to as well. So good packaging overall. I want to say that this is a very solid figure. For the price, I think, like I said, maybe like 35 to 40. If it was like 35 to 40, I'd say they knocked it out of the park. 45, to 50, okay. It's still a little high. 60 is just you're pushing it, and then 70 you're not even speaking the same language as me anymore. Do I throw away all my boxes? I have a hard time getting rid of them. I want to say, as far as like Mythic Legions go, I keep all those boxes because they're resealable. I've kept all of those. All Marvel Legends, I throw that shit out. Anything that's $20, I usually throw out the packaging. Black Series, Marvel Legends, even my NECA figures, I usually chuck their packaging because it's too big and bulky, and I don't have the room to be saving a bunch of boxes. So I bag all their stuff too. I'm trying to think what else. Even the Lightning Collection, I chuck their packaging. For the most part, yeah. I usually just throw the packaging out and I'm not really a min on card collector, so I just bunch of loose figures. This will be the one of the few figures I actually keep the packaging. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me. If anybody has any questions, I'll wait around until. But if nobody has any questions within the next 30 seconds, then yeah, I'll let you guys go, and that'll be the end of that. He says, "All right, I might start throwing them away." Yeah, I would just check. I mean, you do what you want. I mean, you do you. I'm not telling anybody what to do with their figures or whatever they want to do with their collection. But for me, I just throw that shit out because I just don't have the room. That's just me. Some people have the room for it. Some people are min on card collectors. I don't get the point of collecting a min on card figure because I want to be able to play around with the figure and have fun with it, but is that which one? Which one a comic book bootleg? This one right here. This guy. This was the NECA release. There are bootlegs out there, and there is the NECA ones that were really just terribly done. This is the bootleg of the NECA one. So this is not. I'm sorry. I'm causing confusion now. I made an easy question way more difficult. This is a bootleg of the NECA. Yes. So this is the bootleg. I would recommend getting the bootleg over the NECA version just because, and you can probably find them on AliExpress. You might be able to find some of them on eBay, but you'll see them for a much cheaper price. I think I paid $40 for all four turtles, and they came in the same style packaging as the NECA ones. They weren't as well done, but the plastics on these are much better than the plastics that the NECA ones actually made. Like some of the NECA ones, like even Strident had the original set, and they just fell apart on him. So he was like, "Just get the bootlegs; they're way better." And I was like, "Okay, I will do that." So that is this set that I have is the bootleg, but it's the better one to get. This is vintage. Obviously, this is Super 7. It just came out. It just looks different from the one I have. That's why I was asking. Yeah, this is, you probably have the original release, and this is just a bootleg. But the bootlegs have better plastics than the actual NECA ones, which is, I found to be hysterical. But yeah, I hope that helped, Eddie. But yeah, I think that's gonna bring this to a close. I've gone on far too long as it is. No problem, Eddie. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for me. If you're watching this on playback, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you to everybody who watched live, and thank you to watch for everybody who's watching on playback. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope it was as informative as possible as I try to get those words out of my mouth. Get out of here, words. Um, and I hope you guys have a great weekend as well, as today is Friday. And yeah, this is a lot of fun. And I'll see you guys on the